Hello, Igor. Welcome to our conference. So I believe that your content will be very interesting for our audience. So the stage is yours.
Welcome. Happy to be here. Igor Sikorski from Nutanix. I will be talking about idea and solution of hyperconverged data center, which is simple, easy, fast, and secure. What is hyperconvergence? Probably most of you doesn't know it. It's a relatively new idea. However, it has more than 10 years history. Hyperconvergence has been invented by Google, Facebook, and other vendors who created mega data centers. These companies realized that they cannot use old data center technologies in their big data centers because they are too expensive, too complex, too difficult to manage. So Google, Facebook, and then companies like Amazon and Microsoft deployed software-defined data center. Data center that is very easy to deploy, very easy to maintain, very easy to scale, and it's mostly deployed by the software on traditional server infrastructure without any other hardware. Nutanix has origins in Google. So Nutanix has been founded by people who left Google and adopted this idea into commercial product. Nutanix is delivering this software-defined data center since more than 12 years. We were the first company who took this software-defined data center idea, or what is now used, hyperconverged data center, and created a commercial product. We replaced traditional data center design based on storage arrays and fiber channel storage area network. That is what you see here on the left side. And instead, what we are offering is very simplified modern design, which is using one item of hardware, server. This is server based on Intel or AMD processor. Anyway, it has to be x86 architecture. All the rest is software. All the rest is our HCI software called Nutanix Acropolis. This idea has been created, as I said, by Google, Facebook, adopted by Nutanix into commercial market, and now it's very common. It's no longer new. Maybe in our geography, it's still perceived as new, but actually it has more than 10 years history and is offered by many vendors. In this design, you still need a hypervisor for virtualizing your processor and memory. In case of Nutanix, we can use multiple different hypervisors. And on top of that, you can run your virtual machines or your containers or your file system and any other stuff. So if you compare the right side to the left side, the right side is much more simple. It looks a little bit like a Lego block concept because you can add more and more servers and build your bigger and bigger data center. And on the right side, you have just one hardware element, which is server. On the left-hand side, you have multiple elements, disk array, fiber channel, switches, servers, probably some devices for disaster recovery and replication. So the left side is much more complex to build, to maintain, to administer, and more expensive in result. Right-hand side is the modern design that is hopefully prevailing on the market. Technically, looking into details of this design, we have servers. We don't have storage arrays, so the storage is built based on the servers and based on the disks inside these servers. So in each servers, you have some kind of disks. You can have one sort of disk like flash drives, or you can have a combination of flash and HDD, or flash and NVMe, or in the future, if we have new types of disk, we can also put new types of disks, like Intel Optane, which is now the most modern technology. All these disks from all these servers are virtualized into one storage pool. And this is what our Nutanix HCI software does. So our software is, the basic functionality is virtualization of the software and converting all these disks from all these servers, from all the cluster into single storage pool. And for administrator, it's just a single pool. And administrator, it doesn't care what is below. He has a storage pool. He can create data stores based on it, one or more. And that's it. Servers are connected by standard gigabit network. We recommend 10 gigabit network at minimum. It can be higher. And all these servers can be the same, like on this picture, or they can be different. In Nutanix concept, our software is smart enough to build a cluster, because we call it cluster, from various kinds of servers. I will show later what combinations are possible. The smallest cluster typically starts with 3 servers, and it's open-end from the higher end. So you can add more and more servers without any upper limit. You can also have smaller clusters than 3 servers. They are called robo clusters, but they are for special use, like a branch office or a store, something like that. Normally, if we do a full-blown cluster, we start with 3 servers. Data is, as I said, is virtualized, so we have a storage pool. But Nutanix has some intelligence to put physical data on this virtual storage pool. For example, if we have virtual machine running on server 1, we keep data of this virtual machine on server 1. If administrator will shift the machine from server 1 to server 2, Nutanix automatically will transfer all the data from server 1 to server 2. If you use, so it's called data locality, we guarantee that data is close to virtual machine and the performance is optimal. Another nice feature is data tiering. If you have faster and slower drives, Nutanix will always put hotter data on faster drives and colder data on slower drives. Of course, we will have caching, but in addition to caching, we have this data tiering. We also use data load balancing. So we don't want all the data to be put on one server and the other server to be empty. We can have different servers. So one server can have a higher storage and another server smaller. We try to balance data equally so that we have equal load of data on each server. Some of these things are in contradiction. So on one hand, we keep data locally. On the other hand, we are load balancing them. And this is where intelligence of our software comes into play. Our software has more than 600 parameters investigated online. And based on these parameters, we have complex algorithms to manage data in the cluster. So it looks very simple. And for administrator, it's extremely simple to manage and to use. But below, we have very complex technology, very complex algorithms with a couple of hundreds of parameters. Nutanix is delivering software. We are not producing any hardware, but of course you need hardware to run Nutanix data center. So what choices do you have? Credo of Nutanix is to be open and to run on everything. Openness is our mission. That's why we support almost every server available on the market. We have OEM agreement with Supermicro, So we can deliver our software already on the hardware, branded and supported by Nutanix, but produced by Supermicro. We have partner agreements with multiple companies who are installing Nutanix software in their factories. And 4 companies are doing that: Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, Lenovo, Fujitsu, and Dell EMC. All of them can deliver you servers, normal servers, but with pre-installed Nutanix software on it. And finally, there are a lot of servers just certified by Nutanix. For example, Intel, Inspur, Cisco, HPE, ProLiant. These are the servers that you can normally buy from any vendor. You can check on the supported list from Nutanix. If the server is on the list, you can buy it, you can install Nutanix. It will run, work, and be supported by Nutanix. So there are a lot of hardware options. Now, the question is, if you build a data center, what will happen if you would like to add some storage or some computing power to it? Nutanix gives you a possibility to expand, but adding new servers, and new servers can be different than original ones. You can also expand your software by adding disk drives. So if you need to just add storage, most typical case, you don't need to buy full server. You can put some disks. If you have free space, you can put the disks into servers. Even if you don't have space, you can take out the small old disk drives and replace them by the newer, larger disk drives. Of course, if you do that, you will have different configurations in your data center. Some servers can have more storage, some servers less storage. Maybe some servers will be flash, other servers will be flash plus HDD. It's all supported. We support even all-flash configs and hybrid configs with HDD drives in a single cluster. Our software is intelligent enough to manage that and to optimally load balance data and place them in optimal way. You can also mix processors. Today, you may have Cascade Lake processors or Skylake processors from Intel, but in 3 years, you would like to add server with a new generation of processor. It is possible. You can have in the cluster servers with different processors. Finally, you can also have storage nodes, if just for running storage, but not virtual machines. You can have computing nodes for data processing, and bare metal nodes if you have applications that cannot be virtualized. You can also have in the cluster the node that has no virtualization. So a lot of combinations, and this guarantees that if you expand your cluster, you will not have a trap, and you will be able to do it easy, cheap, and in an optimal way. On top of that, you need your hypervisor for virtualizing processor and memory. Nutanix is open also here, and we support 4 types of hypervisors. If you have a VMware today, you can use it. If you have Microsoft Hyper-V, you can use it. Even if you have Citrix Zen Server, you can use it. If you don't have anything, or you are not you are not bound by any hypervisor today, Nutanix is offering you our own hypervisor called Nutanix Acropolis Hypervisor. This hypervisor is included with our software at no cost. So if you are installing Nutanix Acropolis, you will always get our Acropolis hypervisor free. Now you have a choice. You can use it, or you can use one of these other hypervisors that you may have already. Our own hypervisor, Acropolis hypervisor, as I said, is free. It always comes with our solution, and it's based on a KVM, open source hypervisor. It is actually KVM, so everything that is running on KVM runs on our hypervisor. For example, Red Hat applications, Red Hat OpenShift, or anything that runs on KVM. But Nutanix added a lot of security features, graphical user interface, network virtualization, disaster recovery, metro cluster, many features that convert this open source KVM into full-blown enterprise hypervisor. And of course, we support it. So if you use it, support is included for free. You don't need to pay any extra money for using and supporting KVM. Today, more than 50% of our customers is running KVM, and the other 50% or less is using other hypervisors. So this is how Nutanix and HCI in our version works. Why you should be interested in it? What does it give to customer? Why it is better than old-fashioned data center based on storage area network and disk array? There are 5 key reasons. Reason number 1, this approach is consolidated. It's a little bit like a data center in a box. You are buying a complete solution on some hardware with a single software. And in this software, you can run your virtual machines. With Nutanix, you also get file services, object services. You can run a backup application on it, Vim, Commvault, Haiku, or Veritas, or many others. You can run your container environment based on Kubernetes or based on OpenShift or based on other technologies. So you actually don't need to have multiple data centers. You don't need to have a data center for virtual machines, separate data center for containers, separate network attached storage, separate object server, separate backup appliance. No, everything is in one, everything is in software, everything is with single management, everything is on single cluster. So it's multi-purpose consolidated data center in a box. And for that consolidated data center, you get a single management. So this is point number 2. You have one management for all your data center, and it's not just Nutanix management for Nutanix. It's a management for your data center because everything is consolidated, including hardware. Our management is called Nutanix Prism. It's included free with Nutanix HCI software, with Nutanix Acropolis. You just need a web browser to use it. And from that, because of this consolidation, you can manage your storage, you can manage your virtual machines, you can manage your file services, object services, Kubernetes container environment. You can manage, you can do analytical stuff, like historical analysis of your IOPS, storage, CPU, memory. You can do predictions and planning based on machine learning, analytics, and historical data. And finally, you can also manage your hardware because everything is integrated. We are controlling hardware, so you can have visibility into specific disk drives, into memory. You can see the IOPS of a certain drive. You can see errors on a certain drive. You have visualization of your hardware. Also, you get full lifecycle management of your data center. So updating versions of your hypervisor, of your HCI software, upgrading firmware of your servers, everything is from the single interface. Everything is, by the way, automated. It's very easy to do, and everything is controlled. So things like version verifications for all your data center is done from this single management interface. Point number 3, Such data center is almost fully automated and almost no administration is required. I mentioned that we have load balancing of your storage, of your data. We also, with hypervisors, you also have load balancing of your processing. In Nutanix data center, you have data tiering, which is fully automated. Upgrading are one click, so they are almost automated. You just need to select what you upgrade, which version and when, and the procedures are automated. Also, you have one-click planning, so you have also automation in your future planning. All in all, more or less 80% less of time spent on data center administration. Point number 4, very important, is self-repair. The data center from Nutanix is designed to work for mission-critical applications. Our customers are banks, factories running in real time, Nasdaq stock exchange. All these customers, they need a safe and mission-critical data center that never breaks. So the design of the data center includes self-repair feature. In case you have a failure of your hardware, server or disks, the data center will repair itself and it should not stop working. Of course, it should be designed also well from perspective of spare storage, spare CPU power, but it's a matter of design for specific deployment. But after we provisioned it in this proper way, there should be no disruption and all repair functions are automated. For administrator, of course, alarm comes, so he will be informed about the failure. But in matter of minutes, the servers, the data center, the cluster should be repaired. Lost data should be rebuilt from the copy, and data center should come back to a normal work. During rebuild, data center, of course, may have a little bit slowdown, but even this impact of the slowdown is minimized. According to IDC, with Nutanix data center, you have 97% less planned or unplanned outages, breaks, compared to traditional data center. Finally, item number 5 and the last one. Another advantage of HCI software-defined data center is that it's software. And if you have software, you can add functionalities very easily. And actually, in HCI software-defined data center, you have a lot of functionalities included in your software. Typically, things like deduplication, snapshot, compression, they are included in HCI software. With Nutanix, you also get disaster recovery, synchronous and asynchronous replication, automatic failover, encryption, and also you have included file server and object server software. This is all part of your HCI software, part of your single management. I mentioned resource prediction and planning. We also include network virtualization to group virtual machines into different network segments and protect them from access. Also, what we include is software for managing, provisioning, and monitoring a Kubernetes container environment. That is our unique addition. It's included always with our core software at no cost. And this allows to make your data center really multi-purpose, not just running virtual machines, but also very easily to run containers on the same cluster in very easy way with the help of this provisioned software. So five things that make your life easier, makes your TCO lower. and make success of the software-defined data center, which is growing very, very fast on the market. Last part of my presentation is our Nutanix position in this HCI world. Nutanix brand is not so well known as other brand in IT world. However, we are a company with 6,000 employees, founded in 2009 in USA in Silicon Valley. So we are not a startup anymore. Our headquarters is in California. However, we have a development center in Belgrade, Serbia. We employ 300 people who are doing some development in Belgrade, and also some people who are delivering support for European customers out of Belgrade. So our history is more than 12 years, and in this history we scored more than 20,000 customers globally. We are a stock company, public company. Our stock is on NASDAQ. And as you can see, in the last year, the stock was constantly growing. Last year was a very strange year because of the pandemic. And still, this idea of HCI, idea of software-defined data center, was having good adoption. Probably because it's simple, it's cheap, and it's flexible. People in difficult, turbulent times try not to invest in things that are not flexible, and software-defined center is exactly our response for these turbulent times. Nutanix is not only 12 years on the market, so we are the longest from these HCI vendors on the market, but we were always a leader. We invented the technology, so originally we were the only one with HCI on the market. But when Gartner and Forrester started to create rankings of HCI technology, Nutanix was the leader, and until this year, we are still the leader. In all rankings like Gartner Magic Quadrant or Forrester Wave, we are leader in HCI technology. In terms of market penetration, if you just count software, because we are not delivering any hardware, Nutanix has around 50% of global market. So it's very, very strong position globally. It mainly comes from Western Europe and United States, but we are also coming to other geographies. And that's end of my presentation. I hope it was interesting. I leave you with hands of Smartcom, who is our best partner in Slovenia. If you have any questions, just contact Smartcom and they will transfer them to me, and I will be very happy to help you, present you, deliver a remote demo, or provide you proof of concept resources. Thank you so much.